I don't know whether or not I'll post this, and I found out again, supposedly in about 30 days, if that even, TikTok is going away. It's being banned again. And so, that's appropriate for this video. And one of the things, I'm wearing my earrings today, and I noticed I do look like a pirate. I look very piratey today. But oddly enough, these earrings, every time I wear them, at least in real life, someone ends up mistaking me for a guy. I don't know why. They automatically, every time I've worn these earrings, someone ends up calling me a man. They just automatically, and I don't know why. And that's really upsetting. But that leads to what I'm going to talk about in this video and what I want to talk about today. Um and I don't know how much I'll say, but I'll say this. When in about 1989, 1989, 1990, my dad moved the whole family down south because he couldn't get a job anywhere else. He was the company he had worked for, which was Control Data, was completely liquidated, and so they fired everyone. The whole company was gone, and so he ended up putting out about 100 resumes and couldn't find anything. And then what was left of Control Data, I found out, ended up being shipped down south and turned into another company called Seagate. And I didn't get to find that out until just recently, within my early 40s here, late 30s. So that was interesting because I didn't know that at all till my mom just recently told me that here. But in moving from basically on the Canadian border to the southern border, essentially is what it was. There was a massive, massive, massive culture shock. There was a massive culture change, and I got dumped into the heart of southern southern supremacy first and foremost, and white supremacy. And the unfortunate thing is that I literally can't repeat what the kids and the teachers were constantly saying to me. The teachers were telling me, "Why do you exist? Go home." They kept on constantly telling me, "Why do you exist? Go home. Why do you exist? Go home." And they were constantly, you know, me and only one other kid were the new kids in class. And the only other kid was a black kid from a black family. And strangely enough, for no reason at um, all of the kids, the only other kids in class were white like me, literally every last one of them. But despite that, the kids and the teachers, hopefully I can say this, kept on calling me literally a white black person. Can I say that? A white black person. Hopefully this video, I mean, it's 3 minutes in, so hopefully no one will, you know. And they didn't use the term black person. They didn't use the term African American either. They kept on calling me a white black person and a white, you know, and a black person lover, and I didn't, and they kept on calling me a baby killer and a Democrat. I didn't know what a Democrat was. I didn't know what they meant by any of this. My parents kept me very, very cloistered and didn't let me know about anything. They didn't let me know. They didn't let my siblings know either about, I mean, I was 11. No, I was 9 years old. So of course I wasn't going to be let known about politics or political parties, but all the kids around me knew it. I wasn't going to be let known about sex, you know, but apparently all the kids and all the teachers around me knew it. And it was terrible the way I was treated. And because of that, they started rumors about me and point blank lies, just point blank lies. The teachers and the kids, and they called me a baby killer. They called me a transgender, a man trying to pass as a lady, a boy trying to pass as a girl. They called me a lesbian. They called me, you know, all kinds of things. And it wasn't until very recently, in my late 30s here to early 40s, that you go over this stuff and you finally start putting two and two together and you go, oh my God, this must be the lies they were telling about me. Because all of the lies that they're completely out of the closet now about and telling about all kinds of people, um, you know, mainly the rainbow community, you know, the lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, asexual, intersex, questioning, and queer, and two-souled and everyone community, the rainbow spectrum community, um, is what I call it, just to make it easier and faster, especially for these discussions. Uh, all the lies that they're telling about them, they were first and originally telling to me to my face as a little 9-year-old. I didn't even know what any of this was. And they were telling to each other, whispered to each other, glaring at me, hating me. And I couldn't understand any of the words and the mumblings that none of it ever made sense to me. I didn't understand until recently now, when they came out of the closet openly and started shouting these things about transgender people and about gay people. And now I know, now I understand. And the strange twist in this is that I have my mom's brother, my uncle, is gay, and he was married for quite a while there, in at least, I don't know if it was a happy relationship, because he did obviously break up, but he was in, God, man, 10, 12 year relationship, and he was, for all intents and I mean, he lived with this guy, he shared finances with him, he was married to this guy in absolutely every way you can be married, except for on paper legally. So he was definitely married to another man for at least 10 years, if not 12, maybe even 15 years, you know. And he was able to be out of the closet with his own father, who used to sit there and who was a big time Republican, big time, like both my grandfathers were big time anti black people, anti gay people, anti homeless people. They were from the world. They were World War II veterans, literally. I don't care what my parents said. They were both World War II veterans, and they of course were against gay people and black people and Native Americans and women and women's rights and all of it. And my uncle, his father, would sit there griping about black people, griping about gay men, and just haranguing them and running them into the ground. And so that's what I couldn't understand, how he could come to accept his son. His son was, an adult, more than moved on and moved out, you know. But his son, my uncle, ended up taking care of him. Him and his husband ended up taking care of my grandfather in the last of his days. They were the muscle, picking him up, moving him around when my grandmother couldn't help. They were the ones coming around gardening, providing them with fresh, healthy vegetables. They were bringing them food to eat, you know? They were bringing him to vote. So it's something, it's absolutely mind-boggling, that to me, along with the fact that my own father didn't accept my uncle and decided to keep the entire family away from him as best as possible. And to this day is livid with my uncle simply for being gay. It's just, and I wonder if part of the reason my dad hates me so much is he hates me because I'm a woman, and he hates me because I remind him of mom. Apparently I look like, or at least I used to look like, uh, I mean, an absolute dead stamp of my mother. Like, there was a picture of my mom in her early 20s. She had just turned 20, or she was 19. She was at least 23 or younger in this picture. And I looked like a dead stamp of her back then when I was in my late 30s. Literally, I was darn near 40. Um and you could not separate that old 19, that old, what was it, 60s, 70s picture of her, a picture taken in the 60s or 70s. It would have been in the late 60s then. You could not separate that picture of her from me in my late 30s. I mean, we looked so much the same that even I, looking at it, went, "Oh my god, that's me." I knew it was my mom. To me, it was crystal clear and so obvious that that was my mom. But it was uncanny. Flying fucking flabbergasting canny. I mean, that looked like me. And if I hadn't known better, I would have said that's me, you know? But it tricked my brother and sister to the point where they showed it to me and they were tricked by it. And so they expected me to be tricked by it. And I wasn't tricked by it at all, not in the least. But, it was just wow. So my dad has a hate fest against me because he hates my mother. And in all seriousness, at this point in my life, I think I think my brother told me that he's a closet gay, and by this point in my life, I think my brother is right. I think my brother's right. That my dad has actually been a closet gay his whole life. And he actually resents the fact that he's married to a woman, you know. But interestingly enough, he has hated and despised my uncle for being gay and for living out of the closet and for having, at least for a few years there, a happy marriage, you know? And but all this is leading up to something, and since this is at the 12-minute mark, I'll cut it off here. Hopefully I can still upload this. Who knows if I will.